Hey guys and girls, Poketin King here, back with another video, and today we are going to talk about Flesh and Blood and can it establish itself amongst the top TCGs. So I'm talking about Pokemon, Magic and Yu-Gi-Oh! So where is Flesh and Blood now, and sort of what level can it get to? So this year so far has been a pretty good success. I'd say we're just starting 3 months in, so towards the end of the month this will be obviously the first quarter of 2024. And we have seen some good decisions. So we had the print run announcements being destroyed. We had the announcements of heavy hitters obviously coming out, and heavy hitters came out. Now we've got Part the Mistveil, which is coming out. The Japanese release, which is coming up soon. We've just had Fab launch in South Korea for their first Fab event, I guess, or Armory or Evening. I'm not 100% sure on the details of that, but I know it went well from people that I spoke to over in South Korea. So yeah, we've had some good things so far this year. Heavy hitters in terms of players and collectors was a success. A lot of the cards have held value. The legendaries were good. There's good heroes in the set, and they've got the deathmatch thing going on at the moment where you can win the special CNC, which is cool. I think Kasai, I think, is top of that. Unfortunately, I don't think it's going to change. I think Kasai is quite up in the lead. We're on week 3, I want to say. I don't know how you actually do those events, because at the start I thought it was like participate in LGSs, but it seems to kind of been a little bit blurred since then. I'm not really sure. I think a store has to participate in it or something. I'm not 100% sure, but I know none of the stores near me were doing it. We are in RTN season right now. Obviously, we had the 2 call-ins earlier in the year, Liverpool, Hartford. I think actually there was a couple elsewhere as well. But now we've got RTN season. Then we're going to have Pro Quests in April. So exciting. We're having a lot going on in the meta. We got, obviously, Part of the Mistveil, which will be amazing. We're going to have Ninja. We're hoping for a Mirror. We're hoping for, we're going to have Illusionist and maybe Wizard. Maybe Assassin. I think they're the kind of classes that people have talked about. Obviously, Japanese release will be huge. The Call in Tokyo. Unfortunately, I can't go as much as I'd love to. I've got too much going on this year with other events, and I'm still technically in my first year of trading as a full-time business. So even though I do work a part-time job, I do still have quite a lot going on. So exciting stuff. So how does Fab get to being up there with the other TCGs? So we know Pokemon, Magic and Yu-Gi-Oh! Have been the big 3 for 2 decades now. We had Pokemon Japanese come out in 96. I think Magic was around the same time. Yu-Gi-Oh! I think came out a little bit later than both of those 2. So the English Pokemon game came out after Magic, and then you had Yu-Gi-Oh! In English. And now we've got games like One Piece and Lorcana, which look like they could be competing up there. I'm not going to talk about other games because I don't think that they have a shot at it, honestly. I think there's games like Weiss and Digimon, but they've dropped off a lot since, Digimon came out and Weiss's boom in the last couple of years. It dropped off quite a bit now. I don't see it competing, honestly, for top 5, to be honest. I think outside of the top 3, Lorcana, One Piece, and Fab are quite clear. I think, people will have discussions on other TCGs, but I don't see it at all. I don't think the player base, the collector base, the size of the companies are big enough. Obviously, we've got the new Fusion World Dragon Ball game, which has completely sold out everywhere. So apparently it's really good. A lot of people have said that it plays really well and the cards look nice. So that's pretty cool. But it is Bandai, and we know Bandai make games. They make great games, and then they kill great games. So it'll be interesting to see what they do. Obviously, One Piece now so OPO 5 was December. We're in March now. We haven't had any restock since. OPO 6 is going to be delayed. We now know that OPO 6 is legal for the Wolverhampton regionals, which means that UK players don't have enough time to get the product or the cards they need to build their decks. So it's a little bit... They've been shafted a little bit, honestly, and I feel bad for the UK player base because it doesn't make sense and it's extremely unfair that they're doing this, because the European players have a clear advantage here, which it isn't fair, honestly. But One Piece is having a lot of issues. I know for the rest of this year now, we will have product issues. We'll have product. I've been allocated 2 boxes. I ordered 96. I've been allocated 2 boxes. So I know I'm an online seller. I don't have an LGS. I don't run events. Even though that I am running the One Piece nights at my local store, and I will be running it for them. But obviously, it's not my store, so they'll obviously hopefully get product. We can't get anything from until IPO8 at my local store, which is is a feel bad. Hopefully, they can get some decks before then. I'm worried I'm going to get allocated for everything this year, honestly. From what I've heard so far and the emails that I've seen from the US and US distributors, it's basically 2024 is going to be a bad year. And just basically buckle up for the absolute shitstorm that is going to happen. And it is happening, honestly. So Fab has completely different issues that we've had before. We had an issue with Fab being plentiful of supply, and we just had so much supply that boxes were going below map in the US and MSRP, and boxes were cheap and fire selling on eBay and Amazon and whatever. But heavy hitters, we had Wave 1 come out. That sold out pretty quickly, pretty much from around the world, I would say. And we've had Wave 2 now, and supply doesn't seem very much better. So, interesting. I think it's definitely a good approach. There doesn't seem to be an issue with people not being able to get cards. So, I think that it's worked. Honestly, I think the wave system clearly is going to help. I don't know the supply of heavy hitters. We aren't 100% sure on the print run. We might never know the print run of heavy hitters. But it does look like this system works. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with the next set, because there's a lot of hype for the next set. A lot of people are hyped for this. As a Katsu main myself, I am excited to see what ninja stuff they do. They're obviously gonna do another hero. Maybe there's an adult Ira. They'll bring her back. Maybe there's adult Benji. Maybe there'll be some. Josh mentioned on his stream about Amira being Ira, and maybe it's Illusionist Ninja. That would be cool. I did speak about Elemental Ninja, maybe Lightning or Shadow Ninja would be really cool. So I'm interested to see what they do this set. I think the hype is there. The market for the high-end market, or I say maybe mid-end, I don't, when I say high-end, I'm talking about alpha cold foils. I think, obviously, there's high-end when we're talking about, gold cold foil tunics, but high-end nonetheless. And because it's not the stuff that everyday collectors are buying, every day, really. I've been picking up a lot of good bits, which I will be showcasing on the channel very soon. If you know me on the Discords and stuff, you would have seen that I've posted some of it already. I've picked up, I did a bit of a splurge, and I picked up some spicy stuff. I think now's a good time to buy. The market starts to rise in March, but we've had a mixture of the crypto bull run that's going on. Obviously, the stock market is going mental. The S&P 500 is up, and Nvidia is up. And it's just going mental. So a lot of people are buying right now. It's tax season as well, but there seems to be a supply. I think people preempted the fact that the market does very well from late Feb, March till May. So people have positioned themselves to sell already. So there's been some good deals out there. There are a good opportunity to buy. I'd say it's a very good time to be buying if you want to. If you are bullish on Fab, which I think the signs that we've had and the indications we have and the information we have provided available right now, I think you should be. I think if you're a collector, I would highly recommend picking up some pieces that you've been thinking about picking up. Obviously, if your budget allows it, maybe, sell some things on the games that you thought, this is hit ×2, ×3. I'm comfortable with this. And go for the bits that you want. So what does Fab need to do this year? So we know that they're going to be at 70 events this year, which is massive. That doesn't include their events. I think that's just 70, like Gamma, like the Games Expo. Maybe Gen Con will be another one that will be really good at. I think establish themselves at these events is going to get them a lot more eyes on it. I think they've slacked on the marketing side for very long. That's something that I've spoken about in the past. I think the 70 events is a massive, massive sign of intention from the game that this year is going to be a big year. I think this is the 5 years now. This will be 2024 will be 5 years. I think November time since the game released, and I think what a way to smash 5 years. Honestly, I think the hurdles this game has gone through, from a lot of people saying the game would die. Obviously the game launched just before COVID, and it's a game that's meant to be played in the flesh and blood. It's not sold in big box stores like Walmart, Target, supermarkets, bookstores. It is for, the local game store, and it is about bringing people together to play obviously in the flesh and blood. So I think that they're definitely good intentions at the moment. I would still like to see another product added to their product line. I would like a bundle, or the Lorcana have done. If I can grab it and not hit my mic, Lorcana did these, which are like the Illumineers troves. I think they're really cool. It's basically their version of like a bundle ETB or fat package we used to have in Magic. It just comes with dice, counters, all that stuff, and 8 packs. But the actual box is really nice and displays really well. I think that this is a pretty good idea. But I would like to see something like that for Fab. I think just having boxes and blitz decks is a little bit limiting. I like that they haven't introduced anything yet. We are, what are we on, 13 sets now? Is it 13 sets, or are we going to be on 13 sets? Not including the history packs. I think it's about there. 12 or 13 sets maybe. I lose track. Does it say on here? Let me have a look. No, I don't think it says, but it's around that. And they've established what works for them, creating the best booster box experience. I think Heavy Hitters is definitely very much close to being one of the best experiences you can get outside a box. Obviously, player aside, obviously draftable, amazing. But collectors aside, there's so many good cards in there. I think opening up a case is a good experience, especially if you're lucky and, jammy like me. I've coined the nickname, Jammy Jamie now just because of, my ridiculous luck. But I think the outer box experience is really good. I think WTR is probably hailed as the best, especially Alpha, and I think Heavy Hitters is close. My favourite set obviously is Crucible of War, but I know it's not draftable. I think the best booster box experience in terms of collectors, I think, is definitely the WTR or Crucible of War. Obviously Arcane Rising's up there as well. I'd put Dusk Till Dawn up there as well. And obviously, Heavy Hitters has been great. So what does the game need to do? I say continue with the marketing. Being at more events is really going to get the name out. We need people to come over to the game. The player base has been fairly stagnant in the US and in the UK. And I think Europe as well. I know the game's growing in Southeast Asia and other locations that they're kind of focusing on, but the game has been very stagnant in the areas that already have the game. So we need to focus on making sure we can bring more people to the game. I'm not saying we need to sell at big box stores, but possibly if they did like an ETB bundle sort of thing, maybe that's a product that they would sell at big box stores. So that you can only get the boxes from LGSs, but you could get a bundle or something from, a bookstore, for instance, like a Waterstones or WH Smith or whatever the bookstores, Barnes and Noble in America or whatever. I don't know if they sell cards. But that would be something that's interesting. Or like game stores, for instance. We have Game. They sell all TCGs. One Piece is starting to be in there now, which they never did before. So I would like to see something like that. Obviously, being in the big box stores wouldn't be the end of the world, for me, but I would like to see another product added to their product line. Maybe they do a bundle ETB. Maybe they do something differently. Maybe they try something different. We've spoken about having like a ready out the box similar commander decks, but like a classic constructed deck where you maybe have maybe it is just all non-foil for it to be basic, but it gives you a deck straight out of the box that you can just play with, and you're going to be able to learn the game like that rather than blitz decks, which isn't a very great way to learn the game because blitz is a format that seems to be kind of transitioning out as we are trying to move Living Legend up there. I think blitz will end up sitting about third. Of course, we've got UPF, and we're going to have, PvE at some point eventually when that releases. I think when they announced PvE, they were very excited about it, but I think the logistics of the game and making sure that it doesn't detract from the actual main game was something that they've realised over time takes a lot more time, which is, it's just fair enough. We'd all rather them perfect the game rather than, just bringing it out because people want it. I think Those are two big things. The game, obviously, having the system rotation that it does with the Living Legend, I think is probably one of the best systems that we have. It does stop power creep, which is a lot of other games have struggles with. I know Yu-Gi-Oh! Is one big thing. But there's some of the things that I think would be really good. I think they would help the game. Word of mouth is pretty much how we get it across. I know there's a lot of Armory events across the country that aren't firing up every week because they don't have the players. So maybe there's more they can do for LGS in terms of support, like marketing materials. I know they get some banners and stuff like that. But, maybe being at events, giving out packs, getting people involved. That's what we need to bring people from other games. I think that bringing out the lore book or something similar, maybe they did a graphic novel series of the lore. I think that would be really good. I think there's definitely different ways you can bring people into a game. Because the entry point to Fab is quite high. It's not a game you can just pick up and play. Everyone that I've spoken to that doesn't play Fab right now, that's heard of Fab or tried playing Fab, has said the same thing. The game's too expensive and the entry point is extremely hard. They try to play and they just struggle. They couldn't understand it. And even if you have like a champions in your local area that's pushing the game, trying to get it out there, helping new players, it can be very difficult. It is a struggle. And I think having store owners that push it as well is a big thing. We know how lazy some store owners can be, where they just don't care, which is annoying. It's like, why are you running a card store if you don't care about cards? Like, you're not in it for the money, because let me tell you, the profit margins for a brick and mortar store can be quite shit. So you need to have a passion for the game. Like, I would like at some point a brick and mortar store, but I would do it differently. I've spoken about this before. I would like to have, when people aren't playing games, like during the day or evenings for events, it'll be set up for people to do streaming. So we would have people streaming from the store all the time. That would be a really great way to bring people in. People could come in and stream as well. That would also be a good thing. So they're the kind of things that I think, to offset it a little bit, you can't just open up a store. Maybe a little cafe is what a lot of places are starting to do now. They're bringing in coffee machines and some snacks and stuff and selling drinks, which I think is a great idea. Actually having stores like habitable, having a toilet, having access to drinks and food, even if it's small, I think that's great. My store, I commend them with the stuff that they do. They only sell the games that they do events for, so they won't stock it unless they know that there's a big player base there, which I understand completely. They want to make sure that they can sell a product, but they are more than willing to work with people if they prove that the game is established enough and does have a big enough demand for them to stock it. But they also, have clean toilets. They have 2 floors now. The basement's great, as well as, upstairs in the main shop front. They sell food and drinks, and they're actually friendly and they care about card games, and they're up for, having a chat, which is, I've walked into stores, and I actually went into one recently, and I asked about Fab because I saw they had a bit of Fab on the shelf, and he was like, "Oh, I don't know, that was here before me. Like, I don't know, I don't really care about card games. Like, I'm into Warhammer." And I was like, "Oh, okay, no worries." I was like, "Can I have a look at that?" And he was like, "What one do you want to look at?" And he was just so blunt and rash, and it's like, look, you're in a public-facing job here. You need to be nicer. You need to actually look like you give a shit. I'm sorry if people don't want to hear that, but unfortunately that is part of the job. I've done it before, and, part of this job is being public-facing, obviously. And you have to, be able to talk to people. You need to be approachable. Approachable and communication are such important things. And if I walked off the street and went into that shop, I wouldn't be buying anything. Like, if I had either no understanding of card games or I was interested in something, I wouldn't buy anything, because the first thing I've seen is a member of staff that just looks like he doesn't want to be there, and his attitude to customers is horrible. And this is a problem. Stores need to do better. I think stores are so stuck in their old ways. They need to have a big social media presence. I'm not saying they have to be uploading TikToks every day, but they need, a Facebook group, maybe Instagram, Discord. They need a group chat. Like, our Facebook group has got over 1,000 likes. We've got a Facebook Messenger group. We've got a Discord group for all the different games and stuff. And it brings communities together. And that's important. So the store can communicate things, but they also have a good understanding of what is doing well, what people are talking about, what their player base, what their customer base is. Otherwise, how are you supposed to be moving into 2024, 2025 if you don't even have a website? Like, you can complain about footfall and traffic and stuff, but areas have changed. A lot less people go into stores now. They buy online, or they might click and collect. Like, my store doesn't do delivery, but you can come click and collect. So I'll go on their website sometimes and go, oh, okay, they've got this in stock. I'll click and collect, and then I'll go down there and pick it up. Things like that. So there's definitely things that need to change. And unfortunately, with a game like Fab, it does need a store to kind of cradle it and nourish it. It needs that nurture. It's not a game that you can just go, right, we're doing Fab, and you're going to have 40 people turn up and play. That's not going to happen, unfortunately. I've heard that Lorcana does that, apparently, but that's Disney. It's a big IP. Fab is not a big IP. But they're the kind of things that I think that Fab could do. This year, I think, honestly, is going to be the best year Fab ever had. I think this year is going to be massive. I think the intent from LSS is amazing. They're clearly listening to the players and collectors. We obviously don't doubt that they care for the game, honestly. Like, having a person like James White at the helm shows the confidence. It instills confidence in us as collectors and players that the company is going to be guided in the right direction. And we know that some of the decisions are going to be taken on board. Obviously, at the end of the day, they don't have to listen to everything people say, because if you end up pandering to everyone, you end up changing things. So I think what they're doing right now is amazing, and I am excited to see what happens this year. I do think Fab can become a top TCG. I don't think it'll be a top 3 TCG. I think it's too much of a niche and indie to be a top 3 TCG. I don't see... Pokemon and Magic will never drop out of top 2 TCGs in the next decade. So I'm talking 2034, whatever. Yu-Gi-Oh! I think Yu-Gi-Oh! Had a really good year last year. I think Rarity Collection did really well. The anniversary packs and stuff. Obviously, it was 20 years since the English release of LOB. That was a really good year for Yu-Gi-Oh! And I think this year it's going to do well as well. But I think if any game was to take it out there, I think it'd be One Piece or Lorcana. Obviously, Lorcana needs to establish itself a little bit more in terms of players and collectors, and One Piece needs to store out its print runs, because, wow, like, I've seen stores getting allocated for decks now, like decks. You know what I mean? So Bandai are struggling. They need to sort their shit out. But anyway, let me know in the comments below what you think Fab could do, what LSS could do to improve the game, and also what you think the game is doing really well at. What is something that you're excited about? And let me know in the comments below. Thank you all for watching. Please comment, like, subscribe, as always, and have a great day.